stereo working? Yes! A celebration! Come on! Beautiful. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and you join me today as we're going to have a look at another one of my purchases. And on this sunny day, what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at the Peugeot 207 that we bought from auction a few weeks ago. Nice little bright blue Peugeot. We paid £485 for this car, or 484 to be precise, with all the fees. I thought it was a bargain. We've done about 80 odd thousand miles on a 2006 plate, 1.4 petrol, and it looked a really clean bonny car. Now, we got the car back a couple of weeks ago. I have been away, but I'm now back, and now looking to go to get this car turned around and hopefully look to get it up on sale pretty soon. But we'll talk more about that later. So without further ado, let's go and have a look at the Peugeot and go for a drive in it. Okay, here we are, the Peugeot 207 in blue, nice colour. Now first thing to say on this, it's actually quite a clean car when it looks around the auction. A few little bits on it which we'll go around and pick out in a sec, but for the age it's a clean thing. It is completely covered in dust and crap now, guys. Like I said, it picked up a couple of weeks ago. I've been away, come back. It's been quite hot the last week or so, as I'm sure you've all been aware, and there's been a bit of dust and crap sort of blown up and it's all landed on it, so it really needs a wash. But we're going to valet it obviously before we put it on sale, so we'll do that last. So just have to see, so just look past the dust. Obviously we'll cover this car probably in another video when it's all done, but let's see what we're up against at the moment. So like I said, it was number 2 in the auction, this early doors. We bought this one. Give you a recap on the details of it. It's a free former owner car. It's a 1.4 petrol. It's a 16 valve engine, the early 16 valve engine. It's done 88,000 miles. It has got an MOT on it till February next year, so we're well covered there. Obviously when we sell it retail, we'll obviously put 12 months on it, but yeah, it's not a bad looking thing on paper. As I said, it's a late 2006 model, December. Now it's a 5-door model, which is what I'd want, and it's a nice colour. So let's have a look. First thing to spot out straight away, which is definitely coming off, is this ridiculous, it's not really a bonnet bra, like a cover they've put on the edge of the bonnet. Now I have peeled it off in places, looked behind just to make sure they weren't hiding anything, and there isn't anything there. It's just mould and residue under it, which will come out when we clean it. But that's definitely coming off. Why they've put that protector on it, I don't know. There's also one on the back bumper as well, but they're definitely coming off. A few little bits there, I mean, past the dust, little mark there which wants touching in. We're not going to start painting anything like that. Obviously going that extreme, it's an old car. Just a little bit of a mop up and a touch up there, we can just brighten that up. Moving on, very clean and straight on the front. Screen's in good order. Wheels, I've had a quick look round them. They're a little bit edgy in places, but they're not too bad for the age of the car. A few little scuffs on the wing mirror cap there, but they'll buff out, they're not too bad. Really straight down the side as well. We've got a nice clean car until we get to this bottom left hand corner where there's a little bit of an issue there when you're going after a dress. I actually didn't notice this I actually didn't notice this going through the auction. The problem was it was sort of bunched up against another car like this, so as I'm going around with a camera like that, my eye line's at the top, so I just didn't quite get this bit here. You can see, it's actually not quite a bad repair they've done. There has been a solid repair there on that corner, and basically rather than just sort of paint match it, they've just basically just done a strip on it and painted it. That obviously wants tidying up, but like I said, it's all solid. There's no pudding or filler, what we can see in there. It just wants tidying up a little bit. You know, it is an old car, guys. It's what, heading on for the best part now of what, 15 years of age plus, so you are going to get a little bit of imperfections in places. But that's nothing, we can fix that. I've got the paint man coming to sort that out. Going to smart repair that and just tidy it up. I have poked my head underneath as well just to make sure there's nothing on the inside, like any corrosion or rot there. And it's just been an isolated piece there that's been repaired, and it just wants basically tidying up. So it's pretty solid underneath actually. I'll show you that probably in the next video when we do all the repairs on it. It's not too bad, and we'll certainly improve it anyway, because we usually sort of tidy things up underneath and schultz them and just make them look a bit more smarter and give them a better chance against the weathers and salt we have, unfortunately, on the roads in the UK. But that just needs addressing. Sort that out. That's probably the worst bit of the car, and we'll have a nice looking match thing, because it deserves it, because the paintwork's pretty decent, as we'll see as we carry on walking around it. Here's what I see about the back end. We've got this silly strip here as well. That one's coming out because this was just daft. I'm not quite sure why that's on there, but that side, rear nice and clean, really straight car. I'm really pleased with this one. Like I say, going on to the near side as well, nice and clean. So just got all this blooming dust off it. There's a few little tiny bits here. Just want nibbing in with a brush, match colour, and it'll just look bob on. said it's nice and clean, no dents to worry about, no major scratches or damage. It's HPI clear. It's just a nice old, decent, honest car. A few tiny little scuffs there, but again, most of them will probably come out, or we can certainly improve. Tyres on it, I have had a look all round and pretty decent, to be fair. Delanc's on the front, budget tyre, not a bad budget tyre, to be fair. In good order, both fronts are matching. We've got a couple of old Ravellos on the back as well. They're kicking out about 4 mil. Let's say it's just a really nice, honest car, and I've just got this feeling it's been well looked after. Now, let's have a look inside, see what we're up against. We have got a couple of keys of it. Central locking is working. First thing on Peugeot is what checking them when you open them, make sure your doors aren't clicking. The door straps on Peugeot Citroens are notorious for going wrong. Can be easily be fixed, but they are really annoying, a bit fiddly to do. So always check your doors, make sure they're open and closing. Make sure you haven't got like some horrible clunking noise when you open the door. Yeah, just always make sure you check them. Inside, not too bad actually. Obviously we're going to valet it. It wants a good full valet, we'll get it nice again. Just what's all it wants. There's no rips in the seats, no tears. If you have a quick look in the back as well, excuse the sunlight. But again, nice and clean, really. Just wants just a hoover up and a valet, quick going over with the shampooer, and we'll have a nice car again. Although I have just noticed actually, we've got a headrest missing on the near side seat there. Now I wonder if we just pop the bonnet, we pop the boot lid, is it in here? No, it's not, so we need a headrest. Okay, that's not the end of the world. We have got a set of old mats in it. We've got a spare tyre, yes. It looks alright actually, not too bad. It's been used, but it's not too bad. Old maxi tyre. So we're down to a headrest so far, needing. It's not the end of the world. Wind me down windows in the back. But one less thing to worry about. Inside, pretty clean, like I say. Let's fire her up. There we go. 88,000 miles on her. We've got a drop of petrol, which is nice. Just under a quarter of a tank, so that's ideal. Give it a rev. Sounds all right. Sounds pretty meaty, to be fair. The computer's working on the screen there. That's all good. So we've obviously got all the range on the fuel, etc., and your MPG. That's all working fine. So that's a good sign. And even the date's correct, which is good. And it's 16 degrees outside. It feels a bit warmer than that, to be honest. 5-speed manual. I've noticed as well, guys, because I moved it before, it's really hot, the air conditioning is working. Now you might not think, wow, why is that important on an old car, the air conditioning is working? Well, it's just a sign that someone has spent a bit of money on it and maintained it, because let's be fair, if you've got an old clunky car, you're just running from A to B, most people aren't that bothered about getting the aircon done. So we've got no warning lights on the dash or anything like that to worry about, which is good. Let's pop the bonnet. Shut that up a minute. So under the bonnet we've got the 1.4 16 valve Peugeot engine, early engine this one. They stopped producing this not long after this, about 2007 this engine went out of production in favour of the later Prince engine, we call it. The Prince engine's a bit better on fuel, it's certainly a lot nippier. I think these were about 90 horsepower, the later Peugeot ones, or the 1.4s, were about 100 brake horsepower, so they were a lot quicker and a little bit better on fuel, but they were not reliable, those old Prince engines. I'm not saying not buy one with one in, I sell them all the time, but they are just a bit of a pain to get right, and they do sometimes suffer with chain problems. These, the old-fashioned cam belt driven engine, basically a 16 valve version of the older TU engine that's been in Peugeots and stuff for years. I mean, like started off in the 205 I think, and this is the 16 valve version of it. Not bad, does the job, just about enough power, not bad on fuel really, just what you need. Like I say, it's pretty clean under here. We've got a little bit of residue here and there, but just wants cleaning up. But obviously we'll go through the workshop with it, and no doubt we'll have to spend a little bit of money probably under the bonnet, servicing it definitely, and certainly having to service it, and we'll probably have to end up checking the cam belt as well, because we've got a lack of service history unfortunately. So we'll definitely have to look at that. So like I said, well, if it needs a cam belt, we'll do it. There's money to do that, no problem. We'll have a check of it. If it looks like, if we take the cover off and it looks pretty recent, then obviously we'll leave it. But if it does look a bit tired, we'll definitely do that and obviously service it and carry out what else we need to do to it. So it looks a half decent car, but does it drive half decent? Well, the only way to know is to go and drive it. So we'll rig the plates up, get that aircon on, because it's a bloody hot day today, and we'll go for a drive. So let's rig it up. Right. Now, apologies in advance about the sunlight on the camera today, because it's going to be a little bit glary, should we say, with the sun out like today. But we shall persevere. Fire into life. Never in doubt. I've got that aircon on. Well, I can't put it on too high because you won't hear me, but I've got it on low just to stop me from boiling. Right, let's get this Peugeot on the road. So shooting off first, got a nice clutch bite, little peppy engine revving round, no problems there. So pull into second and off, staying nice and straight. Gear change now into third, so good. We're into fourth, yeah. We're getting to fifth, no problems there. We've got no crunching in the gears. That can be an issue on some of the Peugeots and Citroens of this era. 5-speed manuals, I've seen a few with noisy boxes, so make sure you run through the gears, in particular making sure you listen out for crunching, that's synchromesh problems, and actually when you're in gear, particularly low gears, a whiny gearbox, because I've had a few over the years with whiny gearbox. They're not that common for it, but I have had a few that have done it. So when you get into this sort of age of vehicle, you need to make sure that obviously you're checking stuff like that thoroughly when you're trying to buy something at this age. Like I said, now we're at 30 odd mile an hour, no problem at all. We're going to get on the bypass and set, we'll get it up to speed, make sure we're listening out for wheel bearing problems or anything like that. Just basically keep making sure we get up to speed. We haven't got any engine lights coming on, we've got no lagging performance or anything like that, or any misfires. So we throw it into this roundabout now and put a foot down. We're cruising quite nicely, picking up speed. So we're up now to about 50 mile an hour. I can't hear any noises, we've got no road noises, we've got no wheel bearing noises or anything like that. So far, actually, on the suspension side of it, I've not really heard too much, other than a very slight knock, I'd say, from that near side, passenger side. Sounds like a drop link or a tractor end now and then, we'll just hit the odd pothole then. But other than that, we've got no massive clungs or bangs, I can't hear any spring problems or anything like that. It's sitting nice on the road, the suspension's nice, it's taking up the bumps well. So other than maybe just having a look at that near side, I don't think we've got too much wrong with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, this car can certainly stand a ball joint or a wishbone arm, no problem. Yeah, it's driving really, really nice. Actually, I just remembered, we forgot to check the stereo. Is the stereo working? Yes! Had a celebration. Come on! Beautiful. Always check your stereos, guys. When you go buy a new car, it's the little things like that sometimes you forget about. You know, you're focusing more on the car rather than the little gadgets inside it, your windows and stuff. Always make sure stuff like that is working, because it might not sound like a lot, but if you get home and realise that you just bought a car from especially from a private individual where you've got really no comeback, and you've just got not stereo working or something like that. Stereos these days can be quite expensive to fix and repair, so always make sure that you check it, because a lot of people rip stereos out, they put other stuff in, and then when they sell it, they put, you know, the old stuff back in, and it might not be coded, it might not be working correctly, it might be an issue with it why in the first place. So always make sure you check, you know, your sort of entertainment equipment in cars and all your gadgets, and obviously make sure everything functions correctly. So you're buying a 207, what should you look out for? What's the stories behind them? Well, they came out in 2006, ran to 2012 in the UK. Lots of variation of engines. To be honest with you, there isn't that many I would avoid. There are certainly more better ones than others, or preferences. Early ones, so pre-2007 models, will have either a 1.4 diesel, a 1.6 diesel, 1.4 petrol, or a 1.6 petrol. The early petrol engines like this one, like EU3 engines we used to call them, which are basically like a 16 valve version of what we used to call the old TU engine. They're pretty decent, to be fair. They were updated in 2007 to the later Prince engines, which were you getting Minis and BMW 1 Series and lots of Peugeot Citroen products, which are better on fuel, certainly a lot more peppier to drive. So on paper they sound a lot better. In reality, they're not as reliable. In my experience, I much prefer the older engines, but like I said, pre-2007 is really where you're going to find those engines in the pre-2007 models. So nowadays, with the exception of cars like this one, which have got lower mileage, most of them are pretty much now dead and buried. Now, I don't mind a 207. I always preferred the 206, to be fair. It was just a little bit more basic and a bit more rugged. But the 207 is a pretty decent car, and definitely something that you should consider if you're looking for a sort of medium small car. They certainly do offer decent service and reliability, and quite nice to drive. So this one's driving really, really nice. So let's pull over and have a chat what we need to do about this little Peugeot. Right. So what to do with this Peugeot? Well, you know it drives all right. Really, on the test drive, all I've noticed is a little bit of a noise coming from that near side. So we'll look at that on the ramp and have a look at that. Probably a ball joint or maybe a trap end or a drop link problem, so I'm not too concerned about that. So as we'll get it for the workshop, we definitely need to check it over. We've got a bit of lack of service history of it, which is a shame. The only problem when you buy stuff from auctions or part exchanges, if there's someone's got that, you don't know if a car could have had amazing service history, but then when they've part X'd it, they've not brought the service history and they've just gone in on a whim, bought a car and just gone, thrown all the documents, took the logbook in and then left all the manuals and stuff at home. Happens a lot. And you know, when you could get this, I've got a feeling this probably had really decent history, but we've just got nothing to back it up. Which is a shame really, but we'll go to town on it anyway, do a proper service on it, do everything we need to do, and check that cam belt as well, because obviously we're going to sell it, we make sure it's right before it goes out. Once we've done that, I basically just want a bit of a clean up, a valet, send it to the valeters, get it a full valet, get it all freshened up, and of course we need to tackle the paint. That's probably the first thing we'll do actually before we get it on mechanicals underneath. I've popped my head under so I know it's quite sound underneath, it's quite solid, so I ain't got any worries there. We just need, it's just going to be prep work underneath, just get it for the MOT. So we'll tackle the paint first, get that corner sorted, get it matched in, just get it looking right, a few touch-ups around it just to make it a really smart car, and it will look a smart car at the end. Take those stupid strips off the front and back, and just make it look proper original again. So, without getting too ahead of myself, what do I think the potential of this car is worth? Well, like I said, we paid £484 to be precise for the car, including the fees, which is really cheap. I'm really happy with that price. With 88,000 miles on it. But I think realistically, if we service this, do a belt on it if we have to, and get it right, we'll sell it with a 12-month MOT, I certainly think that we could be achieving £16.95 for this all day long. I think it's worth that. If it had a history in tow, I think we can maybe push that a little bit more. But if we do a proper job on it, make it look a smart car again, I think it will sell pretty much straight away. It's the sort of thing that everyone's sort of wanting to buy at the moment, a nice, honest family car. I'd like to think maybe with the purchase price at £484, if we can keep the spend down to, what, the £300 or £400 mark with all the paint and stuff and the mechanicals, which I think is very realistic. At £800-900 mark, I mean, ideally, close to 8 would be nice. We've got a decent margin in this car at £16.95, a good decent potential profit in it. Like I said, I'm not expecting too many issues with this. Like I said, at the moment it's just looking a bit dirty and tatty because it's been laid up here for a few weeks. It wants just cleaning and start that process of getting it for the workshop and obviously fixing up, ready for sale. Now we'll do a part 2 on this when it's done, when all the paint's done, it's all buffed up, been valeted, just to do like a before and after video if you like. And obviously we'll film the process of it going for the workshop. If we catch any bits of the repairs, obviously I'll film them for you as well and go through the proper itinerary when it's done. So at the moment, I say the target, if we keep under £800-900 total purchase and spend, I'll be really happy, but we'll see what happens in part 2 because you just don't know. Now I'll probably get that out in about a month or so's time. The reason being at the moment, things are a little bit slow because I'm transitioning from one business to another. I don't know if you've seen in my last update video, I've now sold my business, my existing business, which is an MOT station garage, and I'm now moving to a new site which is just solely a retail car pitch, but it has got workshops as well, so obviously we'll carry on there fixing up the vehicles internally. But at the moment I'm having to sort of use sort of friends and other mechanics and people who used to work for me, they're helping me out. I have got myself a little bit of a base operation I can work from temporarily, but not ideal. So at the moment, a little bit of a vagrant at the moment, in between sort of places. But it's not forever, it's only for probably like another 6-7 weeks until we get the keys and obviously get into the new site, which obviously we'll film and I'll be launching on the channel and showing you around as well. So in the meantime, I'll crack on with bits myself and start the process of obviously getting these cars out and about to other people to fix them up. There'll be extra costs involved in that in some cases. Sometimes we have to pay labour to other individuals. Obviously, we'll cover that and do that in the breakdown in the next video, what we've spent outsourced, etc. So please check out that video, guys, hopefully in a month or so's time when it lands. Thank you for watching this video. Please check out my other content as well. I've got lots of videos I've launched in the last few weeks, so please check all them out, particularly my auction videos, which are really interesting. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. It helps me out immensely. I'm trying to get to 20,000 guys by the end of August. That's the target. Hopefully we can get to that target. I'll be chuffed to bits if we manage that. Please let me hear your comments as well about the Peugeot 207, about this individual car. Let me know, guys. I always interact with the comments, so please let me know your thoughts on it. And I'll see you all, guys, in the next video.